Hello guys, welcome to my channel The Less is More. So today we will discuss an editorial from Indian Express and the topic is economy and the title of the editorial is Beating El Nino. So guys, I have discussed El Nino in detail manner in our previous videos. You can search it on our YouTube channel. Explanation, I have explained the explained page of Indian Express, that how El Nino works, how it develops, what are the frequency of years in which El Nino develops, and what are its implications on India and Indian people, right? So let's start the editorial. Prospects of the economy continue to be tied to monsoon, but the comfortable food supply situation offers some cushion. Most economy watchers are upbeat about India's growth prospects in the current fiscal, more so after the revised better than expected GDP numbers for 2022-23. But there are three possible headwinds: a general global economic slowdown that can impact exports, the cumulative effect of interest rate increase in the past 1 year, and El Nino. So there are three possible headwinds. What? A general global economic slowdown. This is one. Then cumulative effect of interest rate increase in the past 1 year, and the third is El Nino. It's the last one that poses the most immediate threat. Most climate models are indicating high probabilities of El Nino developing by July-August. This has also led the Indian Meteorological Department to forecast aggregate rainfall over the country during June-September at 96% of the long period seasonal average, making it a just about normal monsoon. So IMD has forecasted aggregate rainfall over the country during June-September at 96% of the long period seasonal average. In the event of subnormal season, the most obvious casualty would be the Kharif crop. So what would be the implications that might be discussed in this paragraph? Casualty would be the Kharif crops that are mainly planted during June and July. The more the delay in the monsoon's onset and coverage across the country, it reduces the sowing window as well as the period for plant growth. So the delay of monsoon affects the sowing season, so it reduces the sowing window that farmer will have if the onset of monsoon is early. But if the onset of monsoon is bit delayed, then it reduces the sowing window, okay, and the period for plant growth. So plant would have less time period for growth. Also, if the transition to El Nino happens midway through the season, and given its usually lagged effect on actual rainfall, the resultant moisture stress could extend to the Rabi, winter, spring crops. So if this transition to El Nino happens midway, right, in the season, and given its usually lagged effect on actual rainfall, so El Nino does what? It actually delayed the actual rainfall, okay. So what would happen? Resultant moisture stress could extend to even Rabi crops, right, which will be affecting Kharif crops. Of course, these are extreme scenarios for now, but the fact remains that the Indian economy's fortunes are still tied to the monsoon. So these are just extreme scenarios for now, but the fact remains that Indian economy's fortune are still tied to the monsoon, which has a bearing not just on agriculture production but also hydropower generation and drinking water availability. So what is the effect? What would be the sector? Which would be the sectors on which the implications of the El Nino? The agriculture production, hydropower generation, and drinking water availability. And after 4 consecutive good monsoon years from 2019, this is one risk factor that simply cannot be wished away while making any growth projections. Okay, so while making any growth projection, this El Nino cannot be like you can neglect, right? The effects of El Nino. The redeeming part, however, is that the overall food. However, the redeeming part is that the overall food supply situation is fairly comfortable. So here it little bit turns toward positive scenario, right? About the editorial, positive. Like though the effect of El Nino might be severe, but what is the comfortable situation right now is overall food supply situation is fairly comfortable compared to a year ago at the height of the Russia-Ukraine war, or even 2 months back when there was a lot of uncertainty over India's wheat crop and milk had turned the policymakers' next big headache. Thankfully, the yield losses in wheat from unseasonal rains were not all that much. So, yield loss from unseasonal rains were not that much, and government agencies have procured enough grain to meet the requirement of the PDS system. Surplus pre-monsoon showers alongside a surprisingly mild summer so far have been favorable for fodder growth. So, mild summer is favorable for fodder growth and milk production. So, if there would have been less rainfall, then it would have severe effect on the fodder growth as well as animal husbandry and milk production. But this time there is a mild summer, and even the yield losses in wheat crops is also not that much. Okay, so there is enough grains in the stock of the governments or the Food Corporation of India's godown to fulfill the requirements of public distribution system. Okay, and surplus pre-monsoon showers and mild summer is also favorable for fodder growth and milk production, improving what supplies to dairies and easing price pressures. The availability of position is good in edible oils. So position of edible oil is also good, courtesy of a crash in global prices and reasonably so in pulses. 2. Due to ample stock of chana with government and imports of masoor. Both the government and the RBI should keep a close watch on the monsoon, but there is no need to sound the alarm bell. Right, so due to favorable fodder growth, milk production is also improved. Okay, and price have also been eased little bit, and the position is also good in edible oils and reasonably in the pulses as well, because there is ample stock of chana, and the government have also allowed imports of masoor or the ease the imports of masoor. So here author is saying that both the government and RBI should keep a close watch on the monsoon, but there is no need for to sound the alarm bell, right? So we have seen in this editorial that what are the three possible headwinds right now with the government, right? Three headwinds: El Nino, global slowdown, and interest rate hike. Okay, then in this editorial we will talk about El Nino. We have talked about El Nino, its implications, and some positive scenarios that will be reduce these extreme scenarios if the severe effects of El Nino would be felt. Okay, positive scenarios is wheat is available, fodder growth, so there is focus on milk production. Okay, wheat growth, then edible oils, pulses. Okay, degrees. So this is in the favorable terms, and the effects of the El Nino would be on the agriculture production, hydroelectricity generation, and drinking water availability.